Hi, I'm Tom.
I'm Matty.
And I'm Lewis.
This is the Wigan Way, Wigan's favourite rugby league podcast.
He'll put you in his trap 'cause he's a union man. He's got it all figured out. He won't care what you think 'cause he's a northern man. He's allowed to speak his mind. His mind.
The Wigan Way podcast is brought to you by Cherry and White Pins, a local Wigan Warriors themed pin badge company with a variety of Wigan ranges. You can get free shipping on all orders when you use the code THEWIGANWAY, that's The Wigan Way, all in capitals, at checkout. Thanks to them for supporting the show.
So, thank you for joining us this week after another round of Super League. Another win for the Warriors, another 2 points on the board, and it was a game of pretty much that, just getting 2 points, whatever the cost was really. So lads, how are you feeling this week? It's Challenge Cup week. Have the nerves set in yet, Matty?
Yes, they absolutely have.
Where did they set in for you? About 5 minutes after the...
Yeah, as soon as the Warrington game was over, they set in, to be honest.
Yeah.
I haven't felt it after the Hull KR game, but as soon as that game was over, I thought, right, next weekend, get through this week at work, next weekend we're going to London, we're going to Wembley. One team's fans are going to be really disappointed. Well, 3, I suppose, because there's 3 games on, but you know what I mean, in terms of the Challenge Cup final. Yeah, I'm really nervous. I'm excited though.
How slow is Wembley week though when you're in work? How long does this week feel?
Yeah, it's going to drag.
I thought it was like Friday already. I got home from work.
Felt strange when the game finished. So like, no, we play these men again next week in Cup.
Yeah.
Oh Christ, it's final as well. Like, do you know what I mean? It was a bit like
When it's the grand final, when you get to the grand final, it's the next week, isn't it? So you win the semi-final, you're over the moon, you go into Old Trafford, and it's only next week.
yeah.
You know, and when they used to have a week off, it was still your next game. Whereas here, we won the semi-final, we're going to Wembley. Okay, back to earth. We have to beat Salford. We have to beat Warrington. Now we get excited again. So that's the weird thing about the cup, really.
I think that's the joy of it as well, though, that you keep getting refreshed, you keep getting brought back into it.
Look, the Challenge Cup for me, you get brought up in this town being told how big the Challenge Cup is, don't you? And the Australian players we've signed over the years have always talked about the Challenge Cup. I was watching on television. It's the one game that was always on, and it's obviously a bit different with like the likes of Jay Field now, and perhaps some of our other players who have been young enough to have Super League on TV, but they never had that before. So you drilled in that the Challenge Cup is this big historic showpiece event. I like that it's early enough. I like that it's not in August. You can win it and go again, or you can lose it and go again. I love the Challenge Cup. You'll hear no slander from me about the Challenge Cup. I adore the Challenge Cup.
I think Wembley makes a difference as well, doesn't it? Obviously, us 3 went when it was Tottenham. Tottenham's brilliant, new stadium. Going experiencing that for the first time. You know, I have £1 billion, stadium.
Yeah.
Something about going to Wembley.
I love Wembley.
The history of Wembley, the fact it's always been there, the memories, the great tries that's been scored, great Wembley tries.
It's a
Get my
mouthful.
teeth in. Easy for me to say, but definitely.
We never went to Old Wembley. No, none of us went to Old Wembley. We were too young. And for us, New Wembley has got that feel, like that hallowed turf. Whereas if you speak to some of the older members of our family or the ones who spoke on the grand final preview last time, they might say, "Oh, New Wembley, it's not all that. It's a bit clinical. It's a bit this, bit that. It's nothing like the old Wembley." But to me, Wembley Way, and actually walking out at Wembley, New Wembley's amazing.
Yeah, it's brilliant, isn't it? And it probably doesn't get the respect that it deserves in the league. The fact that it's changed places,
And that it doesn't get filled.
doesn't get filled.
Yeah.
But that's got to be the aim, to fill Wembley. And
Do you think we're going to stay after the game for the 1895 Cup? Sheffield and Wakefield looks like a decent game.
definitely stay for the start of it.
I mean, it depends on the Wigan Warrington result.
Yeah, definitely try and stay for the start of it.
Yeah.
And then see how the feeling is after that.
Should be a good day.
Some really good games, though. Some really good games.
There's loads of Wigan fans bought tickets, loads of Warrington fans bought tickets. 7,000 from Wakefield, Sheffield taking a load. Yeah, I can't wait.
Going to be busy.
It'll be a good day.
Now, let's go into this game. Obviously, we played Warrington. Last time we went to Wembley, we played Warrington the week before.
Did we?
Then cast the week after.
No, that wasn't Wembley.
Sorry.
No, we didn't play Warrington the week before Spurs. No, we didn't. We played Warrington the week before semi-final against Saints. But that was such a big game that we always think about Warrington and Saints. We played Huddersfield and Hull FC between the semi and the final, and we lost them both.
Yeah, sorry. Oh, yeah, we did.
Because we rested everyone against Huddersfield, and Matty Nicholson played.
Scored a double, didn't he?
And then we played, I think, most of our team against Hull FC, but they were decent then.
We lost, didn't we?
We lost close, and then we obviously played Huddersfield in the final. But I'm chuffed this time. I'm jumping ahead maybe here, but I'm chuffed this time. We've got 4 points between semi and final because we need them this year.
Yeah.
The top of the league is everyone's fighting, and I know we spoke about we've got loads of home games left, but the top of the league is tough this year. It's going to be tough to finish in the top 2.
You can't take anything for granted.
No.
Not this year.
So to get 4 points from in between semi-final and final, I'm over the moon.
While we're talking about the league, do you think, probably more so in the last 4 or 5 years, it's more important to get the top 2 and get that home than it has been in previous years?
I think so, because like we've said before, there's places now that are getting very, very difficult trips.
Catalan.
You've got Catalan's always been a good one. Craven Park's coming into its own, so trying to get
Saints are always tough.
You want to finish above them, don't you?
Yeah, you want to finish above them. You don't really want to be going to a semi-final at Craven Park. It's OKR's own fans. So you don't want to be going to making a trip to Catalan from the semi-final.
I suppose what I mean is it's always felt like there's been, in previous years, there's been 2 best teams in the league, and they get top 2, and they get the whole semi, and probably make it to the grand final. Is the general feeling. This year it feels like, and last year, it feels like anyone could make it from that 6.
Well, I remember
even someone who sneaks in at 6 could just turn someone over at home, and you need every advantage you've got.
I remember Bill Go tweeted last year, it's always better when there's a team like cut adrift at the bottom of the league rather than a team flying away at the top. And this year we haven't got either, really. No. You know, we've still got 2 teams stuck on 2 points, which we'll talk about later. And we've got a whole raft of teams on 16, 14, 12 points that are fighting for the top 6. Last few years,
it's almost perfectly poised.
It's been brilliant in the last couple of years.
I think that's the thing, because we've got stronger. We've said this before, haven't we? But we've got stronger teams now, and again, strengthening. You know, it's been Wigan and Saints. Probably again, maybe last season, obviously we won, but we know obviously Saints held the dominance for a good while. There were teams trying to compete with us ourselves, Catalan. But then we kind of...
It feels like a couple like Warrington and Hull have took that step to get closer. I wouldn't say that they're in the top 2 or 3, but they definitely took the step and are knocking at the door.
You wouldn't say if they're going to semi-final that you'd probably back Saints, but you won't go Saints by a mile. You won't go Saints will win this easy. You back Saints, but knowing actually there is still a very good chance, especially compared to previous years, that they could actually get turned over.
That factor of whoever has the home fixture is probably the favourite.
Yeah.
Personally, I
agree.
If Saints had to go to Warrington or had to go to OKR or we had to go there, you'd possibly put them favourites.
Makes their job a lot harder.
Yeah, it does.
Should we have a look into this game then?
Let's go.
Now, both teams rested plenty. Warrington rested 8. Our resting has been a little bit overlooked, if we're being honest.
Yeah. Not surprised by that.
Everyone seems to act like we played a full strength side.
Yeah, it was our full strength side against Warrington's children.
Under 14s.
Yeah, under 14s to hear them say, and I think they got a couple out of the club shop as well. There was a lucky winner, one season ticket holder got to play loose forward. Yeah. That's what it sounded like, didn't it?
Yeah.
With a team that had Stefan Ratchford and Josh Drinkwater and
Sam Powell,
you know what I mean? Whatever.
It wasn't a particularly weak side. It wasn't the strongest, but...
The reason we started this podcast was because nobody wanted to give Wigan any credit for doing anything. So,
and that's the funny thing. Obviously, they did rest a little bit more. They rested 8 from what I counted who I think would have been in. Obviously, George Williams was banned, so he would have probably been rested anyway.
Yeah,
if we're being honest.
If they rested the rest of them, they would have rested George.
But Wigan rested 6. No Field, no Miskey, no Wardle, no Thompson, Farrell, missing Isa through his injury.
And Mike Cooper.
Mike Cooper didn't play. So there was plenty of people not involved on both sides, and it gave a bit of a weird feel before the game. It was funny, there was talk of we're going to win by 40. There was talks of it's going to be a really cagey game. I don't think anyone could really confidently say what was going to happen in this.
Do you know what was strange with the team sheets? Just about resting people then. Our 18th man was Jack Farrand. And he played half-back in reserves before it.
Yeah.
I was like, can you imagine if someone got injured, you would have to bring him in as 18th?
They used to always do that though. They used to always do that.
Yeah.
The 18th man would always have played in the morning. In fact, in the NRL, if you listen to Matty Johns, they used to play the reserves and then go on bench.
Yeah, best 2 players would go on the bench.
Come on after an hour. Whoever played the best in the reserve game, the best 2 will go on bench, regardless of position.
Oh my God.
So they just picked 15 blokes. It was when it went from 15 to 17, I think.
Yeah.
And so they're like, well, we've got 2 extra bench spots. We don't really use them that much. So whoever plays the best in the reserve game, just stick them on bench. So you've got like 2 wingers. I mean, it won't be 2 wingers really, but you know what I mean. He'd come on after an hour. And that's how he made his debut. Matty Johns.
It was weird though, obviously, with Farriman as a half-back. Named his 18th man, was a half-back. I thought there was potential that he might have played, maybe for someone. Obviously, Hampshire came in at full-back.
What do you think about that? Hampshire, when he's played full-back this year, to me, hasn't been amazing. He's been much better in the halves.
I think he's been much better in the halves, but clearly Pete wanted to give Field a rest. And I don't think the week before finally wanted to move French to full-back.
No.
I think he wanted to keep that partnership of Smith and French at 6 and 7.
Yeah, I think you're right. I don't think you can give French a week off either.
No, and if there was to be a long-term injury to one of them half-backs, I do think... if there was a long-term injury to Field, I think French would go to full-back and Hampshire or Farriman would come in at the halves. But for a one-off week, I'm not surprised he put Hampshire back there. I
don't know actually what would happen if Field was injured long term. I think you're probably right. I think French will go to fullback.
I think it's for Hampshire copped a bit of stick for this game for his performance, and don't get me wrong, it wasn't his best, not by a long stretch, but so I don't know. It's hard, though, isn't it? When you're not playing competitive Super League.
Being a fullback's hard.
Then he gets brought in at full-back when the last couple of times he has played, he's played as an half-back. So
played in the reserves at half-back as well.
He's played in reserves in the half-back. He's gone into a Super League game, away from home. He has played full-back before, so it's not an unfamiliar position. But one he's not played for a while, he's used to being at half-back, so that obviously comes with changes and difficulties as well.
One thing I think
tricky for him, I think.
One thing I think that's overlooked with Hampshire is that if Hampshire was 18, a young lad, everyone goes, oh, well, he's stepping in, it's a big step up. But everyone expects him because he's... I don't know how old Rocky is he 29, 30?
Probably about that.
He's getting on to that age. Is that everyone just expects you to play immediately at Super League quality?
Yeah.
And listen, if he got a run of 7-8 games, he'd probably be very effective at half-back or full-back as he got back into it. When you're a young lad, everyone says, oh, you come in for a game, it's really tough. Now go and have a week back in the reserves. Oh, you can't really judge him. I think a little bit has got to be done with them squad players. It was the same with Ian Thornley last year. Everyone expected him to come in and play to Toby King's level, to Jake Wardle's level.
Yeah, the reserve team that won the reserves grand final last year, I was looking at the picture actually today because I was on the club website making our graphic for the reserve team winning. And the team that won that final, I've got Ryan Hampshire, Ian Thornley, Joe Shorrocks, Cade Cust, and I'm thinking to myself, this is stacked. I think Nsemba played, Eckersley and Douglas were on the winning partners.
Was that the grand final that French was rested for?
Yeah, I think French, Cade Ellis, didn't he get a rest for it as well?
He should have been there.
Yeah, French and Cade Ellis got rested. There might have even been one more actually. But we used that loophole that everyone else uses all the time, but no one's bothered.
It's only a problem when we can do it.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. I think as good as the reserve grade is, it's not at the standard it probably should be. In an ideal world, it should be stronger.
Do you reckon in an ideal world we should have somebody of Joe Shorrock's quality and Kate Cuss quality and Ian Thornley in the reserve team.
Yeah.
Do you reckon?
Yeah.
Because if we want to expand the league, or even if you want to keep it at 12, I think Shorrocks would improve loads of teams. He's already improved Salford. Hampshire would improve quite a few teams. Ian Thornley would definitely improve a lot of teams.
But I think that says more to the depth of players than...
I just don't think we're ever going to be in a world where every single Super League team can afford to be leaving out somebody like Joe Shorrocks.
No, definitely not.
I think currently there's only 2 or 3 Super League teams that could afford to leave out Joe Shorrocks, for example.
No, I have to agree. I just look at how it is over in Australia, and a lot of the fringe players play reserve grade to try and get a shot at.
Yeah, they play reserve grade, they play dual reg.
Where I get the feeling that our players come back, play reserve grade, and it's just to get some minutes in the legs. It's not to prove that you should be back here with a spot.
Joe Chan is currently playing reserve grade, for example. He has done for 18 months.
Right, should we dive into this game? Actually, we keep saying we'll go into it, but should we start now? 1918. Closer than we expected.
Good film, that. 1918 is a good film. Was it 1917? I can't remember.
I think it's 1917.
Whatever the film is, it's a decent film.
But 1918, a little bit closer than some would expect. I didn't expect a runaway game. I'll be honest. I didn't see this being a game where Wigan came and played against the kids and did whatever, as I saw some people saying was going to happen. And Joe Bullock made a comment after the game about playing for a spot at Wembley. There was quite a few players at Warrington who were playing an audition game. Stephen Ratchford, Joe Bullock, players like that are in and around the squad and aren't guaranteed to be in there. It's almost an audition for them. And I think that caught us off guard a little bit in that first 20 minutes. We were a little bit slow to the races, didn't start the game particularly well, and suddenly find ourselves 12-0 down. I think a bit of credit has to go to Warrington how they started this game. They came out with a point to prove.
100%. Yeah, I think they had to. I think a good start would have been something Sam Burge would have wanted. Definitely been part of his maybe pre-game speech to say let's go out and get off to a good start. We've got young players in there. We're at home. If we can get off to a good start, young players will pick the confidence up. Crowd will get behind us. It'll be like having a 14th man on field. They'll get behind these young lads if they see them putting effort in, get off to a good start. So I think it was definitely. You had to give credit to Warrington. They did. They come out. We know they've been a much better team this year in the basics, the effort areas, the bodies in the pictures, bodies in the frame, bodies in the picture. So you got to give credit to him. Matty Peake did in his post-match interview. This guy was very complimentary of Warrington and saying
Liam Marshall was the same.
Yeah,
Liam Marshall gave him credit as well.
So first try for Warrington, they were 2-0 up from a penalty, kicking behind the line. One of them tries that I'm not majorly disappointed about. It's a well placed kick. It's well weighted. The young centre does well to run the right line and get onto the ball. I don't have too many complaints.
The thing for me, not just with this one but with all of them, a lot of people were a bit, maybe concerned that they saw the two teams on paper. It was very, very close, and probably some said a bit too close for comfort. But also, we've got to remember here, all 3 of Warrington's tries come from kicks.
Yep.
They didn't break us down. They didn't charge us in the middle. They didn't come off nice moves that caused. They didn't have us for numbers. They've come off kicks, essentially. So it is just something. Obviously, conceding points is still conceding points. But I feel like anybody could score off a kick. Do you know what I mean? They're not going to score tries off 3 kicks next week.
Now, Gus Gould probably wants to make a try off a kick worth -4 or something because it is so easy to score off kicks. There's a reason why so many tries come off kicks, especially when a team can't break it down. It's the only way they can score.
And I do want to give some credit to that. There is a skill in the weight of the kick and placing it into the right position.
Yeah, you can practice that.
But obviously, a lot of them come on the last play, the fifth tackle, the fourth tackle, whatever, towards the end of a set. Usually when you've thrown a couple of questions and you're thinking about how you want to turn the ball over. So you put the kick into a certain area because you can attack it. But if it doesn't come off, you could probably get a repeat set or things like that. It's the end of set option. And yeah, we conceded from 3 kicks. The second one, the Drinkwater try, off the post, the bounce off the post, a well-placed kick.
Yeah.
But, again, in another world, that could hit just the other side of the post, bounce back out into the field of play and someone dive on it. I wasn't alarmed at the way that we conceded them tries.
Those parts for me as well. It's a lot harder trying to score from kicks when you've got Jay Field at fullback.
Yes.
Because he can cover ground exceptionally quickly.
Yes.
His positioning is fantastic as a fullback in a defensive line, where you might put a kick in behind, but he gets across and knocks it out, and you've got a goal line drop out.
Yeah.
You know, it's very much harder scoring off kicks when you've got Jay Field at fullback for the oppositional team.
I agree.
I was just going to say, just to highlight that, watch Hampshire's positioning. He takes up a similar position as Field, where they're in the line to stop the immediate danger of scoring from a pass out.
Yeah, Tompkins said it a few weeks ago when Harry Smith did his chip and chase. He said Moore goes into the line, fullback goes into the line to give the impression that the line is more stacked from one side. It's an interesting tactic. I quite like it because you're putting the pressure on the halfback
To make a better decision.
to see something. You would say ice up footy. To see something. You're not going to count that in the moment, are you? You're not going to say, well, there's 4 people over there, so there's no fullback. You just have to be really switched on and notice someone's doing it.
But that's the difference between Field and Hampshire. Field has that blistering pace that we've seen that gives him the ability to then get back out there, deal with them kicks. And he might not get if it's a massive kick to the corner, but them kicks in and around the post, he's certainly going to be in the picture. I'm not going to say he would have stopped them.
No.
I think that would be unfair to say.
He might have done.
But he would have been in the picture because he has that little bit more pace that Hampshire has, and that's not a criticism of Hampshire. That's him defending the same way. Just obviously Field is more adapted to that sort of defensive work.
Yeah.
And it's no criticism on
Jake
Hampshire.
Field's one of our best players. We're going to miss him when he goes out. Jake Wardle is one of our best players. Liam Farrell, one of our best players. We're going to miss these guys when they don't play. Luke Thompson's our best prop forward.
Definitely. Now, 22 minutes, we can get onto the board. This game, you could really split it into 4 quarters if you wanted. The first 20 minutes were Warrington were on top. The last 20 minutes of the first half, we can really get back into this game. That play again, Havard obviously takes a tackle to the left of the post. Smith, at first receiver, puts Kane Ellis on a short ball onto the right hand side of the post, and then French, at first receiver, finds December with a short ball, who can't stop raving about. I know we want to be calm on him, and
well, we're giving up on that.
Yeah,
we're giving up on being calm on Junior and December. We're just going to
we're on board in December train.
We're just going to get on board.
But
because once again, he's just seen a half-back and run over the top of him, and it's brilliant.
For me, it will be interesting to see from a Warrington perspective next week. Obviously, Drinkwater played on the left side. That's usually Williams' side.
I don't really know, actually. Williams seems to pop up everywhere.
He seems to pop up everywhere. I think defensively he sits on that left-hand side. Williams is a bit more strong defensively.
I think Williams is a very good defensive.
Williams is the best defensive half in the league.
Yeah, he's up there with the best defensive half-backs.
Without question, he's the best defensive half in the league.
Which is why I found it strange that Drinkwater was defending there. Because next week I would assume, if I was Sam Burgess, I'm not telling Sam Burgess how to pick his side, but if you want a half-back defending December, it's probably going to be a George Williams that you would pick.
Yeah, but you could say the same about Liam Farrell.
Yeah, I just think obviously December offers a different challenge. I think Farrell's runs are more clever. he drifts into space a little bit better than December does. Obviously, December's still very young. But if you're talking about, if you're Josh Drinkwater, who would you rather be tackling? I think you'd rather take Farrell than December off that sheer size. That's my personal opinion on that.
No, it's good though, but it's good from December. You know what I mean? He runs again, and this is something again he's getting used to. This isn't a fluke accident that keeps happening. This is a planned move. Let's get December on a short ball over an halfback. He's got good hands, to catch that when he's got an halfback up in his grill type thing to catch it at pace to carry the momentum going to run. Drinkwater tries to wrap up top and try and keep hold of him so he can't get the ball down. He's got no chance. December shrugs him off and gets over.
I just had a look then on the highlights from Warrington against Saints, and George Williams defended on the right there while partnering Leon Hayes.
Really?
Yeah, so Williams potentially on the right, which would leave Drinkwater
Dealing with
hopefully one-on-one dealing with December again. But if you double him up and you put I suppose it would be Roderick Ty doubled up on him, you're giving space for Jay Field then.
Right back.
And I said when we went on the Snipers Club yesterday, I said Field's going to get more tries soon because teams are going to have to respect the running threat of Junior December and the try scoring threat. He scored 3 and 3.
Yeah,
all the same.
I think if you look at December's tries, you can see
the blueprint.
Probably the centre, maybe the two or the third defender in, almost jumping out in front of him to try and deal with the fullback. In this case, it's Hampshire, but
you've got to respect Junior.
They've got to respect it. This is the thing we've said about Wigan as well, and one of the best attacking sides, because there's just different. You think, right, how do we solve this problem? We double up on December. Well, then we've got Jay Field at the back. Okay, well the winger shoots up on Jay Field to put pressure on him. Well, both French and Smith are capable of lobbing a floaty one over the top or a bullet pass, cutting multiple people out and finding a centre or winger on that side and making him look foolish that way. And so there's just so many things now that teams just come to life. There's just too many options.
Please no interceptions, Lewis. Please no face balls that get intercepted.
No, not interceptions, but the one over the top
gets
or,
going.
it's...
but again, I'm going to throw into that. Obviously, Eckersley is potentially going to play right centre if Kieran's ban is held up, and I don't want to talk too much about that. But he provides his own threat. Very big body, very strong, very quick. Misky back out there, who we know that he can all finish a try from 10 yards out.
Toby King knows that better than anybody.
It's going to be
he eats tries for breakfast, did he say?
It's going to be a serious ask for Warrington.
It's a shame King and Misky aren't going up against each other.
Oh,
that would have been good.
No, Misky could score a try and then do that. Yeah. Like a symbol eating it for breakfast.
Symbol eating for breakfast.
Now Wigan's next try, 10 minutes later, Marshall gets in the corner, but it starts to play before. Lehman jumping out from 9, draws a couple of men in, takes the tackle.
Lehman, what a signing he's been. Mm-hmm. What a pickup. Lehman just changes our side so much for the better. He's so different to everything else we've played. And when he comes on against tired bodies, he's so good. He consistently makes the right decision now as well.
And he's being used well as well by the team. They bring him after 20-25 minutes with some tired bodies, or when they've just made subs so the defensive line's a bit new because there's new bodies in the frame. And he's picking up and he's running, so now it's right. Well, they've got Field, they've got French, then they've got a running threat from now.
Yeah.
And there's again.
To me, he always comes on at a similar time to Mago.
Yeah.
Yeah, they work well together, those two. Warrington, even from the game you always mention, Stephen Ratchford's testimonial, Warrington have never ever dealt with Patrick Mago properly.
No.
And I hope they don't again on Saturday.
No,
definitely. The one side he's caused the most trouble, I think.
I have to agree with that, yeah.
Mago just I mean, remember that game in the pink kit where he was offloading for fun?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I never really thought about that.
Warrington, I saw a Warrington fan talking about it today. They've never ever dealt with Mago properly.
It's an interesting thing to look out for on Saturday. But the second try, Lehman obviously gets tackled and Kate Ellis jumps in at 9. Gives a great ball out to Harry Smith, who I know we praise French, we praise Field and Wardle and Kieran for the way that they drift as the ball's in the air. Smith does exactly the same thing and just gets on the outside of his defender and suddenly takes a 4-on-3 to a 4-on-2. And once he's on the outside of that defender, there's very little anyone can do. Hampshire runs a good line. Eckersley runs a good line. Drawing in the centre in the winger.
Liam Marshall's 19th try of the season.
It's a phenomenal record.
19th. And he's not played every game.
No.
It's remarkable. 19 tries.
He's ahead of where Miski was at this point last season, who ended up joint top try scorer, isn't he?
Yeah. But that was just in the league. I think he's got 13 in the league. He's top try scorer in the league, but he's got 19 and 5 assists in 15 games.
Should have been 6. Assists.
Well, yeah.
But what a good finish this is.
He
Diving in the corner.
Good finish.
And I think he's just... It's almost overlooked now how good these are. How good these finishes are.
They do well, don't they?
Because it's not only 2 or 3 bodies anymore that finish like this. It feels like every winger in the league can finish.
It used to be Dennis Solomona.
Yeah.
And then it was like Tom Johnston could do it, and Makinson did it once or twice. Now it seems like Adam Swift can do it. Johnston, Davis, Makinson.
The senior brothers at Castleford.
Senior brothers both seem to do it on a regular basis.
But
You've got
looking
Charnley. He's developed into it almost, which he never really did in his career.
But I bet if you go and watch the Championship, you see wingers finishing like that now in the Championship.
The only one who doesn't do it, ironically, is Ryan Hall. He doesn't go to the outside and go for the dive. He goes inside into the player to say like.
It's because he's old school.
And takes the space. And claims the space. But
He's a retro winger.
it's brilliant, isn't it?
But he is.
Phenomenal
He
like
is
that.
fun to watch for a different reason, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%.
Ryan Hall, he just leaves bodies strewn everywhere when he goes on a run.
Yeah. Then we score 3 minutes later, 34th minute, from our own half, play the ball. That structure that we've seen, Ellis to Smith to French.
How many times have we seen back-to-back tries starting from our own half on the second one from a kick-off? Ellis, as you said, Smith, French.
Hampshire's wrapping around on the outside and French just throws a little dummy for his standards. It's not the big, massive
Rosetta.
But he does really well here, just to keep on his feet. He's tapped on the ankle. He's then got drink water grabbing in his shirt. Does really, really well to stay on his feet and find Cruz Lehman back on the inside, who scores just short of the sticks.
Think about this one from Bevan. He might score himself if he was on his own. He might have scored himself with a big step. He's got 2 men outside him, one just running up on his inside with Hampshire, and he decides to pull out just the most ridiculous 10 out of 10 pass to Lehman. Why? I don't know why. Brilliant. You wouldn't even think of doing that.
No.
I'm sure there's not many players who would even think of putting that pass in at that moment. But yeah, unreal. We're lucky, really, to be able to watch him every week, aren't we?
Yeah.
The league's better for having him.
Oh yeah.
Then we end up kicking a drop goal moments before the end of the second half. A bit of an off-the-cuff play. The ball falls back at Harry Smith. And I really like this, especially when you're 1 try ahead.
Why don't teams go for a 1 pointer when they're 6 points ahead?
More often,
I don't know why.
I really wonder it.
12 points ahead, I'd go for one.
I do get the risk in the league that then you've then got to take the ball from your own half and whatever. But if you're close to the half-time whistle, like Wigan were, or you've not broke a team down for a while, to get to 2 tries, it just adds another level of. We can't get 1 and be back in it. We've got to get another.
No, I'm not suggesting. I'm not
buffer.
suggesting if you go in at half time 12-0 up, your first set and go and drop in a goal.
No.
I'm on about if it's your last set before half time and you're 12-0 up, drop a goal. You know what I mean?
There's almost no risk if you miss.
It's a 7-tackle set, but it doesn't matter. You only get 4 or 5 tackles anyway if there's only a minute left.
Yeah. But that takes it to 19 points to 12 at half time. Now, I don't think anyone would say they thought that 1 pointer was going to be the difference in this game. If I'm being honest, at 19 points to 12, I don't think anyone would have suspected a 1 point win.
Well, I think people might have done. I think the thing I wasn't expecting was no more points for Wigan to finish on 19. You could think maybe it might be 27-26 or 31-30 if the defence is tired and they run away with it, both teams. But I wasn't expecting it to be 19 points at the end of the match.
No. And starting the second half, 7 minutes in, Wigan miss a big chance, I think it's fair to say. Marshall down the left-hand side, puts a kick in field.
Brilliant kick.
We talked about it. Was it 3 weeks ago now?
Perfectly weighted.
I was going to say, it was only 3 weeks ago that we talked about
It was the semi-final, yeah.
How well they're weighted. They never seem to go dead anymore. They're always just enough in field that someone can run onto it.
Yeah.
Bodies in the picture. There was 4 or 5 Wigan players on the screen that take it, and Hampshire just drops the ball cold. No one means to do it, do they? It's a mistake.
No, it's not
stuff happens. I think you can put that down to reword another phrase. Stuff happens.
Yeah, it's hard to think that in the moment. It's hard to think that when he drops a catch in the moment. It's hard to think that, on a Saturday I'll be upset at him for dropping a catch, even though I know he's not done it on purpose.
It helps if he hits it.
He dropped one on Saturday, just so you know.
Is that what it's at?
Dropped one on Saturday, easiest catch I've ever seen. And then he ran the underneath one with his own brother between them. Those were the only 2 players going for it, and he shouted his surname.
Oh, that wasn't my greatest.
He didn't shout mine, which he taught not to do. He didn't shout his first name, he shouted his surname. The only other player on the field going for the ball was his own brother.
Yeah, that wasn't great. But let's move on from that. Then, 20 minutes later, we've got to talk about the red card, Adam Kieran. I don't think there's any complaints about this. It's
naughty, this, wasn't it?
Oh, it was very naughty, this.
It's the thing that I think he suffers for is the lack of arm wrap. There is a little bit of falling with December getting into the tackle.
Yeah.
But the lack of arm wrap.
It's a direct shot to the head.
Yeah. If he wraps his arms, I think he gets a yellow. He might get a game ban, which should probably be appealed. As we stand here, we know he's got a 3-game ban, but we don't know if we're going to appeal it. I don't think they will.
I don't know.
It's that lack of arm wrap. If he attempts to wrap, I think he gets a yellow.
Yeah, I agree. I think he gets a yellow if he tries to wrap his arms. It's just reckless, isn't it?
Yeah.
And we called it out when Matt Moylan did it to Jay Field. And this is the same. And I'm going to call it out as Roderick Ty's done it to Zach Eckersley in the exact same manner. I've got to call it out for Adam Kieran. He was wrong. He deserved to be punished. He deserved to have a red card. He deserves to miss the final.
From the scrum as well.
I feel sorry for him because obviously it's a big moment in his career now and he will be remembered for it. He's missing Wembley. But at the same time, he deserves it because it was a poor tackle. And we can't just say you're not getting banned because it's Wembley next week. You got to try and be fair. I do think 3 games is harsh. But
I thought he would have got 2.
But I think he deserved at least 1, so I can't complain really about him missing Castle London. I'm not that bothered about them. No, I'm bothered about missing Wembley.
Very strange, this one. I'm jumping ahead now to post-game. Matty Pete, in his interview, was asked about it. He gave, like Matty Pete always does, a very open and honest interview, but he credited Warrington, as we said before. Jenna asked him about the red card. And not something you normally see from coaches. Definitely not something you normally see from Matty Pete. He is normally open and honest, but kind of a lot of people, I don't know if I'd word it like this, but threw Keane under the bus a bit. Said we have actually talked to him about this before and he's done it again, so it's something we'll be addressing. And kind of a lot of people were a bit like, oh, do you call your player out on TV like that?
I don't know if
or do you deal with that behind closed doors?
I don't know if he quite worded it right. The impression I got from it was
he has since gone back and apologised. Apparently, we should say.
I don't think he knew about Nsemba's presence and the lowering of the tackle, the player losing height. Which, in fairness, if you didn't know about that, it does look like a much worse tackle. But I think the way I saw it was Pete's probably had this conversation with everybody. We are now clamping down on this sort of tackle. You have got no excuses. You have got to try and wrap your arms. He's probably had that conversation with every player, not just Adam Kieran. So when he comes out and says, we've had that conversation with him about wrapping his arms, about tackle technique and all this, it sounds terrible. It sounds like he's just calling out one of his players.
I think it's to everyone.
When in fact, he probably has said it to everybody, But it's just, this is the first time that someone on our team has done this.
I think that's the big thing. There was all the talk about what do you do, and I remember hearing out of the camp, nothing official, but these are the rules and we have to play to them, and we have to play to them better than everyone else. That's the way that you are. You're at Wigan. You can't complain about the rule because you don't like it. That's how it's going to be officiated, and we've generally seen that we have wrapped the arms in most tackles, and there's not been many events that have been open to a ban or a card like that. I know Burn's been done for a couple, and
different kind of tackles to what Burn's been done for him.
I didn't know when I watched it if it was a Sir Alex Ferguson tactic. You know, when everyone said Fergie was the best man manager because he knew who to give the hairdryer treatment and he knew who did the arm round him. I didn't know if actually Matty Pete, knowing Adam Keevan obviously better than any of us do, is that something maybe to kind of, did he think to himself, you know, this is the way I'm going to fire him up?
Could be.
I mean, he has gone back since an apology. I should tell you, no, that theory's wrong. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about it. I personally think, you know what, just say the cop-out answer there, just so I've not watched it back yet.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's
but
such
that's
I know
not
it's not Matty Pete. Matty Pete is always open and honest, but I think for that one, he is in the heat of the moment.
It's also harder to say that when they played it on the screen and everyone's gone, ooh.
Yeah, I suppose.
Hit him off.
But that's it with Matty Pete. He's honest with it. And I think all of us have sat here and just said, if he wraps his arms, he probably doesn't get carded. It's probably not even a penalty if he tries to wrap his arms.
If he tries to wrap his arms, he definitely would still go 10 minutes because Moylan went for 10 minutes.
Because of Moylan.
But you hit him in the head
shoulder.
though. He hit him with the head, so even if he wraps his arms and does it properly, he still drilled him in the head. He probably gets 10 minutes. But he's playing at Wembley.
But probably doesn't get a ban.
He's playing at Wembley if he wraps his arms.
It's the same as Moylan, but this is the shoulder.
Yeah, you can't drive your shoulder into somebody's head like that. He did it. Yeah, it was reckless. He was wrong, and he deserved to be punished, unfortunately.
Now, shall we move on from that? Warrington score with 2 minutes exactly left on the board to lead to a very nervous.
What a weird try. What's a weird try that Rashford did? Weird.
It was really weird.
When have you ever seen a kick like that that's going towards the post, but not really aimed to the post, just sort of drilled into roughly midfield?
Yeah.
Harry Smith's there instead of the fullback for some reason. Harry's waiting for it, and Rashford picks his pocket almost, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does well to get up. And
I'll be honest, when I saw it on the camera angle, I was like, right, we've got 7 tackle set here.
Yeah,
I didn't realise.
I thought it was dead.
I thought off the boot it's right down Harry Smith's throat. And he was in a decent position, but I didn't know Rashford was flying through.
Yeah. Wigan managed to hang on 19 points to 18, and you know what, I'm going to say it, 2 points is 2 points.
Yep.
Yeah, 100%.
100%.
Got the win. If you'd have told me at the start of the game, listen, you're gonna lose a man, you're going to win the game, beat the team you're going to play at Wembley next week, I'd have snatched your hands off. And
yeah, I like that Junior ran over a player he's going against next week.
Yeah,
I like that. That's psychological now.
I like that Eckersley played.
I like that Eckersley played, yeah.
And he's going to play for Kieran.
We've not mentioned a debut for Jacob Douglas.
Yeah. How's his own?
I didn't look like he was making his debut, did he?
No.
I thought a few of their lads, they had 4 debutants, didn't they? They looked more than comfortable as well. But yeah, Douglas from our side, like Douglas didn't look like he was making his debut. Big raps on Douglas, and I've liked him. I liked him in that reserve side last year. He's been on loan at Bradford. Come back, played this game.
The thing I say about Douglas after watching that game is if one of the wingers was to pick up an injury and Douglas would have to play 6 to 8 weeks, I don't think I'd be overly nervous.
No, I wouldn't either.
Now, obviously, if you're missing 5 and you've got to play 5 reserve teams, you'd be a bit whatever.
But we've had that in the past where we've had to bring in young players and they've just been peppered, and we've been we can't win here because we've got this lad in. But if you bring it in Eckersley or Douglas, call them Deckersley then, because that's the partnership with the
Eckersley.
Yes. if we bring in one of them in, I'm fully comfortable. I think the biggest vote of confidence in them was letting Ian Thornley go. I said it at the time.
Yeah.
You let Ian Thornley go, and people say, "Oh, we haven't got enough outside backs now. We haven't got enough covering the outside backs." Well, actually,
we do,
because Zach Eckersley and Jacob Douglas are coming through, and we rate them really highly.
And they might not be perfect season professionals this year, but the idea is that next year
will be better for it next year.
We said it on that game, on that season
year
preview all the way back in February.
Next year. That's going to be their aim. They want to play 20 games next year. I obviously don't know them. I've not spoke to them.
Well, another thing we spoke about with the sniper was they're doing in the NRL outside back on the bench. Every single week now, outside back on the bench. We spoke about it last week. Teams that don't carry an outside back on the bench that end up with one injured always lose. Now, to me, somebody like Eckersley is perfect for that role.
Can play centre, can play wing, can play full back if needed.
Exactly. Can play anywhere 1 to 5. I would probably still stick with 3 big bodies and Lehman. That seems to be Pete's ideal. But you know what? If it becomes fashionable and you start to think it's costing you games not having an outside back on the bench, Eckersley, perfect man.
Yeah.
He's also a good 18th man, isn't
he? Yeah, perfect 18th man.
Something I want to say before we wrap this up, a bit on Warrington. Obviously I tipped them in our pre-finish quite high. I kind of put, everyone knows I'm a bit of a Sam Burgess fanboy as a follow player, and I was tipping him for I wanted him to do, not necessarily wanting to do well as a Wigan fan, but I wanted...
You back him to finish second?
Third, I think it was. I think third. I think I said Catalan would fall. Back to these says, but we'll that later on.
I put Warrington
higher.
I put Wire in grand final.
What I'm going on to, Wire give a couple of young lads from the academy some debuts. They need to stick with this.
Yeah.
Sam Burgess very clearly is putting a lot of faith in their youth system. He's given Leon Hayes a starting shirt, keeping drink water out until he got injured.
Yeah.
He's given a couple of lads the debut today. Some people give
4
debuts out. Like, this is what they need. You look at the teams who's been more successful, who Wigan and Saints. Why? Because they've got good youth pathways. Look at what Catalan are doing now for the French game and the French players coming through their system. Like, stop signing people like within Josh Maguire and Billy. Whatever his bloody name was, Billy Magoulias, whatever. Yeah. And actually, it's stop going to your 30-odd-year-old Australians who are after a big paycheck for a retirement fund.
Billy Magoulias wasn't even old.
Put some money and invest into your grassroots. You've got great training facilities. You've got good amateur clubs around you that are going to give you the pathways, like basis for success for me.
I just want to back your point up there. Obviously, Hayes had the number 18 shirt. Stephen Ratchford wasn't getting in at centre. There would have been an option.
That was Connor Wrench, which was another.
But there would have been a temptation that when he wanted to change Drinkwater, there would have been a temptation to put your experience. I think he's still club captain. Am I right? Stephen Ratchford in there to do a job in the half with Williams, but he backed his young lad.
I like it. Well, it seems to be now that there has been a bit of a focus from Warrington on youth for a while. It's not somebody's obviously given them a chance. But there's been a focus for a while, and I think the previous coaches didn't give it a chance. And I think when I was at school, a lot of the chatter around the school team was that Warrington was starting to sign a load of young lads from the amateur teams. And a couple of years ago, I think they signed an entire, pretty much Crossfields team. And there's still talk now, where I work with a guy who's gotten in at Warrington, used to play for them, and he says they're signing a load of young lads now, where they're trying to compete with Warrington and Saints at academy level and at scholarship level, and actually they're just about now starting to see the fruits of it. It doesn't happen overnight, and that's why so many teams don't do it. It doesn't happen overnight. It requires so much care.
It's a 5-10 year project.
It really is.
I know we're jumping over to the NRL, but you look at what Penrith did. Obviously, that started under Phil Gould, and then moved on with Cleary back in it. But they ended up bringing a team through where Coruscant, Kickow, Cleary, Luai, Dylan Edwards, who wasn't getting a game, came into the reserve side, They brought through 4 or 5. They brought through Toto, Crichton.
If Penrith make the final again and they introduce the players by their junior clubs, see how many of them are from the Penrith area, because it's a lot. St Mary's Saints, which is Willie Ice's junior club.
And even
It
the
was
guys
more.
that they brought in.
It was more in the past, but obviously Crichton's left. Luai's leaving. Yeah, I don't think Kiko was from.
Kiko, I don't know if it was from the area,
No,
but they
he
brought
was-
him through young.
Yeah,
Same with Fisher Harris. He wasn't an established NRL player. They went and got a young lad there. If you take a 10-year approach,
you should think they've brought in they've brought in Lindsay Smith and Liam Henry this year. Started this year, no NRL club would have been going. Lindsay Smith and Liam Henry, yeah, walking to the side. They want a third of them.
They signed Josh Shuster, effectively from Canberra. He was
Who?
a back. Josh Shuster, the lad who went to Bulgaria.
Oh yeah,
Brad Schneider.
the villain from last year.
Yeah.
Schneider.
But Schneider effectively went from Canberra to Penrith, and he wasn't really banging the door down to be a starting player at Canberra.
They got that Jack Cole
Yeah.
playing 6. No one had ever heard of him before this year, at least as far as we're concerned. He's not a superstar.
Best team in the world as
They're
got probably 10 players.
they're an expensive side, aren't they? And they've had to let people like Kiko and
Coruscant.
and Crichton and Coruscant and Luai eventually. They're going to have to let them leave, and they're replacing them with unheralded young players. They're not replacing them with superstars.
And that's the long-term
Mitch
approach.
Kenny replaced Coruscant. That's a cheaper option, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is, but like I said, Warrington, this is your path forward now. Back it,
Yeah.
because it will come off in the long run.
And you know what? It'll be better for the entire league as a whole.
Better for the Super League. It's better for the England international team.
That's
We've
what
got
people-
products coming through.
That's
big
what
clubs.
people also forget with it, though. That let's look at Wigan. Wigan's under 19s. Maybe 3 or 4 of them might make it to Super League for Wigan.
But one's going to Salford, one's going to
4 or
Leigh.
5 will make it elsewhere in Super League.
Yeah.
4 or 5 will move to the Championship. You've still only got 15 players playing in the top 2 divisions. That might be an exaggeration on the numbers, but
But it's not far off.
you start to stack that middle section of Super League up and the top end of the Championship. And if 5 clubs are doing that rather than 2, it should improve the entire quality.
It should improve the competition, yes. Yes, it should.
Right, we're going to take a quick break there. We'll come back, talk about the rest of the Super League. Thank you. So we're now back to have a little bit of a chat about the rest of Super League and the rest of the games that have gone on. So Super League, still very tight at the top. 2 teams cut adrift at the bottom of the table. Just to run through the table, there's 6 teams all on 16 points or more. Leeds slotted at 7th, Huddersfield 8th, Leigh on 9 points in 9th, Castleford on 7th, Castleford on 7 in 10th, and then Hull FC and London down at the bottom with 2 points. So all to play for pretty much in every position. There's no one really out of any fight, I think is fair to say. Really, really competitive for the league. First game, Huddersfield, Hull FC. A real close finish to this one, and could have gone either way. Huddersfield were winning 24 points to 6 with 10 minutes to go. They conceded 2 tries, 73rd and 77th. To Hull FC, Ben Reynolds kicked them both. They had a good chance towards the end where they ended up throwing the ball in touch. Hull FC that would have made that, which could have given Reynolds a chance at making it 24 apiece. What do we think, lads?
I thought Lola here was good for Huddersfield in attack. I think it probably is almost a worse result for Huddersfield than it is for Hull FC.
Yeah.
Huddersfield, you'd have been expecting, right, get back on the horse, you've had some bad defeats, get a good win, score some points, defensively sound, you're playing against Hull FC, but actually, they let them back into it, didn't they? And it's the second week in a row where Hull FC have had a decent fight back. They just got to play for 80 minutes.
Yeah, you can't do that for Huddersfield. You're at home, you've not won a league game yet. You're winning it comfortably at 24-6.
Just kill the game.
You can't let them have a sniff back. I know they didn't end up doing it in the end, but you can't even let them have a sniff. Just kill the game, be professional.
Kick every ball into touch.
I agree.
What do you make of one thing I want to ask you? Connor on the bench.
I don't know.
Who played fullback then?
Lola here.
Lola here was good.
And then who was in the halves?
Ollie, Russell, and Plube.
I don't know. I don't know what to do with Jake Connor. I don't think Ian Watson does.
No.
It's a tough question because Connor
can win you games.
Yeah.
Make him
But
lose
he
you as
can
well.
lose them for you.
Problem.
And it's, at the moment, he's having a more negative effect than he's
I don't
positive.
know. I like this lineup though. I know we're talking about they let him back into it, but I quite like this lineup. I like this spine.
It's a more consistent spine for
I
me.
like the spine a bit better, yeah.
Right, let's move on to St Helens. St Helens played Catalans, 24 points to 12. It was 24-26 going into the last 5 minutes.
24-6.
24-6.
This was comfortable, this for St
A
Helens.
comfortable win, obviously. Busquet scored with 6 minutes to go. Moore kicked it. Added a little bit of interest to the last 10 minutes of this game. Saints professional. Thought it was a really professional win for them.
Yeah, they probably could have had more tries. Busquet saved a few tries, didn't he, with his interceptions. It was quite funny.
Playing second row as
Such
well.
a big guy out there in second row intercepting. I think he had 2. And Davis had 1. But I was really impressed with... I know Wellesby got man of the match on Sky. Surprise, surprise. But I was really impressed with Matautia.
Yeah.
Thought he was fantastic.
Matautia is good.
He's a proper player,
He's
isn't
good,
he?
isn't he?
Yeah. He's a proper player.
As much as we've got to give Saints credit, I was quite disappointed with Catalan. I backed him in this one. I tend to be Saints bogey team. Saints had a couple of injuries and they looked really... I did say this at the start, really, that there was going to be disjointed with that spine, but I didn't think, a new spine, but I didn't think they were going to be this disjointed. They seem like they don't have a clue, but none of them seem in attack and on both sides of the ball.
There's 2 things to consider here. They've obviously lost Mickey for an extended period of time, who is the big experience. He's the big he's the grand final winner. He's the one that's been in around Super League, been at the top end for a long period of time. They've missed him. When they missed him, when he was playing, Nicarima was on the bench at 9. They didn't have Alistair Costa in there. Mickey gets injured and they bring De Costa in. I can't remember whether it was 9 or 10 that they said, but they've had 9 or 10 different spine combinations. We're in round 13, is it?
Yeah, it's too many.
It's too many. We
Way
talked
too
about it
many.
last year with
Some
Huddersfield.
have been forced to injury, but not all of them.
Some have been forced, but then Nicarima, Cesar Rouge went to full back. Morg started at 9. Nicarima on the bench.
Yeah.
It's a weird one. And
Morg at 9 was a weird one.
Yeah. Really weird, especially when Nicarima was your bench 9 at the start of the season, even though he had 6 on the back.
Cesar Rouge was at full back when he's only half back, isn't he? By
It's weird, out of all the teams,
You had St Helens.
You had half backs in. You had Nicarima on the bench as a half back. You had a half back at full back. You had a full back at 9. Jordan Abdul, what position is Jordan Abdul? Because he doesn't look like a half back. He doesn't run like a half back.
No.
He plays like a second row with a kicking game. You know what I mean? It's weird playing battering ram.
Really weird. Really,
You said really weird again.
I know.
Stop bringing Ryan Braley into. Did he even play this week?
Don't know where that came from.
Yeah, I won't give credit to Saints, like you said, professional job, but I was disappointed with Catalan. I thought they were going to have more for this game.
Right. They were both on Friday night. There was 3 games on Saturday. We were obviously the first kick-off, and then there was Hull KR Lee. Not often a game with these two sides who you would argue are probably more attacking sides.
Becoming a bit of a rivalry, this one.
Yeah.
Played in the cup final last year. They were also matched up in the playoffs. Feels like the fans are starting to really dislike each other. Maybe some of the players the same. It seems like a bit of a rivalry brewing
I was
there.
going to say for that, I feel like that. I know Leah obviously in 9th. I think that's a bit unfair on them given the run that they've had this start of the season, and I do think they'll climb that table quick once they get a couple of wins. Do you think these are 2 teams that see themselves competing at similar points around that top 4 mark? Last year we know how close it was, and Lee dropped out of the top 4 on the last day.
Yeah.
And that meant that they had to go to Hull KR, who took that place off them.
Yeah.
Do you think there's that thing of these 2 should be at similar levels?
No, I don't think so.
I think Hull KR in front of them, but I don't
agree.
think Lee are far off. I'd say maybe Hull KR trying to aim to be a top 4, Lee are trying to get into the 6.
I agree.
Is
I
what I'd
agree.
say.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. I don't think there's massive disparity
No,
between them.
I
I don't think
don't.
we're talking one being for top 2 and one struggling to make the top 8.
Yeah.
I think these two are 4, 5, 6.
Yeah.
That's why it's a decent rivalry, I suppose. It's the best rivalries are created on the field, aren't they?
I'm just looking at. Have they played each other already once this season?
They
played in the
Cup.
Challenge Cup. At
Challenge Cup.
Okay.
Well, they have improved since then, though.
It's one of them games to me that feels like whoever has home advantage will probably win it. That's my.
It's a
feeling.
game I always watch out for, and if it's on the calendar, I'm really interested in that sort of. It's a good fixture, that.
Yeah. Now, Leeds Castleford, 32 points to 4. Leeds win. A much needed win for Leeds.
Go on then. You're wearing orange and black. You back Castleford. Lewis has already admitted that he got it wrong with Catalans, but I at least see a bit more Catalans and bogey side for Saints. You went for Cass.
I just thought the way that Cass had been, they'd obviously beat Hull FC. They weren't great against Saints, but they got the draw against Leigh, beat London in the last couple of weeks. That maybe they'd just got a bit of momentum. Could they get off to a decent start? And we know what's happening at Leeds at the moment. There's a lot of unrest there. Maybe it was more out of hope than actual expectation.
Yeah.
But this was a poor performance by Castleford given the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, I agree.
And I've seen a lot of Cass fans talking about should the coach change. And I look at it and go, it's a bottom 4 squad.
It is.
It is. Yeah.
And in reality, they're probably a place higher than what I would expect. At the start of the season, I would have had Hull FC
Just above.
just above them, just off the overseas signings they had. I know obviously they've signed Tex Hoyt and Cass have made a couple of mid-season signings.
Yeah.
But was anyone really expecting better than 10th?
Good news for Cass. They've extended Liam Horn's contract.
Yeah. I'm looking at getting Hoy for another year.
I find it hard to believe he signed on expecting to play in the Championship. So either Castleford reckon they're in, or there's a clause in that contract that means he can leave to another Super League club. I don't know. But yeah, good news. The good news seems to keep coming for Castleford until this game. The new owner seems to be well received by the fans.
Yeah.
They've signed permanently the senior twins, haven't they?
Yeah.
At least one of them's permanent, and the rest will be the ones for the season-long loan or something. I think they've got them both. Yeah, there's been positive signs, green shoots for Cass, definitely.
They need to start building now on this, don't they? Do you know what I mean? Get a couple of players signed down.
They need to know they're staying
in.
in. If they know they're staying in, right, fine. I'm not one of those people who wants them out. I'd rather add than.
I'd rather add 2 more than.
I'd rather add than
someone
swap. You know, I'd rather add. But if they know they're staying in, they need to build on it. Yeah, they've already improved the seats on that one side. They've only put that in so they can improve the right hand side as we look at it. So that's going to be improved as well. We're going next week.
Yeah,
and we're looking forward to it. Yeah, maybe we'll get one of those
things
pizzas.
like that immediately look.
Well, if they look
just
quality,
by doing it, look immediately better.
Those seats look quality.
Yeah.
And they're still moaning about it because they want to stand up than people in that stand. But whatever, they look quality. Them seats.
That's where I look at it. And I just look at Castleford. You should be. I think they should actually be happy where they are 5 points clear of the bottom 2.
Yeah.
When you put that into perspective.
Yeah.
Playing some okay rugby in games. Yeah, they've had some bad results, but they've had some good ones in there as well.
If they go through the rest of the season and they only beat London and Hull FC, and they finish on what are they on now? 7. So they finish on 11 points. That's actually fewer than they got last year. What do you think? What sort of season would that be for them? They need to pick up some more wins, right?
I think if they could pick up another one and get to 13, with them 2 considerably at the bottom.
Yeah.
If they could have a big buffer between the bottom 2 and them, and the stadium improvements and the extended contracts,
yeah,
a little bit more money spent on the off the field stuff.
Much more positive than last year, isn't it?
Yeah. When you look at what Wakey have done in the Championship, it's not to that extent, but I think they have something to be happy about.
They're moving, aren't they? Not remaining stagnant. That's the thing, isn't it?
And that's what the critics of IMG have got to deal with, is for better or for worse, and I mean for better, it has forced clubs to start doing this.
The kick up the backside.
It's been a kick up the backside.
Put the new screen in as well, haven't they? Last couple
Yeah,
of weeks.
the new screen. They moaned about that as well.
We should mention Leeds. 32 points they got in this game, only conceding one try.
Yeah.
Some positive signs for Owen Smith?
Some positive signs. Someone even said Frawley played well. Can't believe it.
Or is that just...
Someone said Frawley
Does it
played
have to
well.
I was going to say, does it have to be taken with a pinch of salt?
I know a Leeds fan said Frawley played well. You know what that means. It must have been 10
form.
It must have been 10 out of 10 if a Leeds fan was saying he was good.
But do you think this is
I
to be taken with a pinch of salt?
I don't know what this is for Leeds. I don't know what it is.
They've got a week off now.
But we keep saying that. We keep saying, oh, they've beaten London, they've beaten Hull, they've beaten Cass. But then we keep saying, well, that doesn't really mean very much.
Well,
Let's get Hilly to Saints, that doesn't really mean very much.
Just looking, they've got a week off now. Hull FC, Lee, London.
They win them 3 games, then they're on it. But
You get them 6 points, they're then sat on 20 points. They're probably in the top 6.
yeah, but they must have some tough fixtures after that. Then is what
Yeah,
I'm saying.
they do have their own
They'll have
tough fixtures.
They'll have a tough run in after that because
Yeah.
they've had some nice fixtures.
But they have got London and Hull FC twice.
right.
Towards the back end of the
That's
season.
quite lucky. They might make the 6 then. They've got a nice schedule there.
Right, last game, Salford versus London. A low scoring first half, 6 points to 0. Salford were winning at half time. Salford go on to win 34 points to 4.
Yeah.
A little bit more with the Salford at the start of the year. I think it's fair to say in the second half they struggled in the first half but looked to play a little bit more.
London had a proper go at this first half.
Yeah.
They had a real go. They had 2 tries disallowed. Salford had 1 disallowed as well, which I think was a try. They had it for offside. But yeah, I think London had a real good go first half, and then Salford kind of got into half time and went, lads, what are we doing here? You know, we should be better than this. And they came out and they immediately scored 2 tries. And I thought, well, that's it then.
Yeah.
You know, that's it. They got to 8. I think Sneed missed 1 at goals, but they got to 16. I thought, that's going to be it now. They're not going to.
Yeah, London survived that first 10 minutes after the second half. Probably still on a bit of adrenaline fatigue setting at Salford.
Yeah.
Sure, what we probably come to see of Salford, and they probably lacked that in the last couple of weeks. That little bit of free play, expansive rugby that we've come to expect. So
I'll tell you, for London, Meludi is absolutely must watch. Every time he gets the ball, something interesting happens. It could be terrible, it could be brilliant. Something interesting happens when Meludi gets the ball.
he's their X factor.
He's
isn't he?
all action.
Yeah. Right. Only 5 games in the NRL because it's state of origin time now. We're gonna dive into them straight away.
Yeah.
Parramatta beat Cronulla. Cronulla obviously missing Nico Hines due to being in the origin squad.
And Cam McInnes.
And Cam McInnes. Mitch Moses came back for Para. Gutho back.
Gutho came back, yeah.
Is there a more important player for any side than Mitch Moses to Para? Because he came back.
DCA.
And I think everybody in that Parramatta side looked one better.
Yeah. I mean, what I said last week about Ponga's teammates stepping up 1 point each to replace a 10 out of 10 player. And who was the other one I said?
The Warriors with Johnson.
The Warriors without Johnson. Well, it's almost like Moses has come back. A 10 out of 10 player, which Moses is, let's be honest, he's unbelievable. And Para have stepped up 1 point each, so they've missed out while he's been gone, but now he's back. Yeah, they're incredible.
A big first win for Trent Barrett as interim coach.
Yeah, he'll have wanted to get one on the board there. Tough place for it's a tough team to beat, Cronulla.
Yeah, the top of the table for a
They
reason.
were top before this game.
That's back-to-back losses though now for Cronulla, isn't it?
Ugly losses too.
Ugly, yeah.
Yeah, back-to-back ugly losses.
It's going to happen at some point. I don't think they're the finished article.
No.
If you imagine, would you now have Moses in your origin side?
Let me say this. If it was a week later, I think he picks Moses after that performance. But if game 1 goes against them and they lose, Moses is in.
Moses has to play.
Moses is in.
Even if they win, I think he might play.
Yeah, maybe I think he'll keep the same 2 if they win, but Moses will be in if they lose, I think, if it goes against them for game 2 and 3.
Yeah. Right. Newcastle, we talked about how they'd improved without Ponga. Bad result from this week though. Losing to the Bulldogs 32 points to 2.
I watched this game. They were so one-dimensional in attack. They offered nothing. They had so much territory. And they just offered the square root of nothing. I thought, what is going on with this team? They had that young fullback who'd been playing well. He didn't have a good game, but even so, you've got some experienced players there. Tyson Frizzell, Jack Cogger,
Jackson Hastings.
Just think,
Guy.
just be direct. Ask a few questions. They were just so one out, so boring. And I like, Canterbury, they've improved loads. We spoke about them before. Canterbury have improved loads. You give them a chance like that, Canterbury. The Fox, he had a couple of tries.
Yeah, he's out for 8 weeks though.
Yeah, he pulled his hamstring. Yeah.
There's something I want to ask this game, and it's a bit of a bugbear of mine. The Bulldogs, Conor Tracy gets sin-binned 7 minutes in. They take the 2. 0-0. You're down to 12 men. You're on your opponent's line. Do you not think you try and punish them now they've gone down to 12?
I would. There's times I would take the 2.
And I suppose if they kick the 2, roll them downfield and score, everyone goes,
it was bad conditions as well.
But
there was 2 sin bins, and for Canterbury because Sexton got binned as well.
Yeah.
Which was harsh, but no tries. So they were down a man.
20 minutes.
20 minutes down a man, and there was no tries.
I just think early on
They backed up the defence twice with didn't give any tries away when they were down to 12. They didn't give any when they were down to 13 either, to be honest. But
it's just that for me. I just think when you get a team down to 12 so early on, throw a shot at it.
Yeah.
It's not a final. It's not a massive game where you do 2 points and get ahead. I don't know. That's just my opinion. Penrith, St George. St George beat Penrith 22-10. It's a massive win.
10-0 down as well.
10-0 down.
Big upset.
Brilliant second half performance.
Yeah. They were really good. I watched this game as well. I really enjoyed this game. Again, poor conditions, but
they always struggle during Origin.
They do. Well, they got off to a good start. St George though.
No Dylan Edwards.
St George improved as well. There's actually quite a few of the bad teams from last year have really improved.
There's only really West that are sitting down at the bottom, really.
Because even the Titans have improved.
Souths are obviously struggling, they're ranked bottom. But they've got quality about them that could turn that around. West are the only one that I think are really struggling down there.
Yeah, I feel like even the Dragons, even when they lose the Dragons, they've been more in out. They've been much better this year.
Yeah. Matty, your Raiders, a 26 points to 25 win.
Yes.
In Golden Point. It was 25-25 at the end of full time. Talk through it, mate.
Well, the Raiders are just exactly what you'd want your team to be if you're an underdog. Yeah, if you love the underdog, you love the Raiders. Ricky's Raiders, he's got them playing for each other. He's got them playing for the fans. They're not often technically the best team, but they are always the hardest working team that will fight and will stay in games. And even when they're down a few the halfbacks out for the season, they'll just step up and win. Beating the Dolphins in Redcliffe, big win.
It's a massive win.
It's a big win for Ricky's top 8 candidacy. They want to be in the top 8, and they haven't got a top 8 squad. I don't think.
No.
Especially now Fogarty's out. They have, however, got a top 8 coach.
Yeah.
And he's got them running through a brick wall for each other.
And it's very good because the Dolphins are no easy.
No, they're a good team, yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Good side
I know they're a
Dolphins.
newish team. And
they're difficult to beat up though.
They had no hammer.
It is difficult to beat. They've got Wayne Bennett as coach and they've been in good form, the Dolphins, this season. They've been playing well, so it's a big win for the Raiders.
I know you say they had no hammer.
Hammer and Kafusi was out, but the Raiders had no Hudson Young.
Yeah.
Well, he's a big player for them, so they'd be pretty even. Like if you take a couple out of each team.
Last game, North Queensland, probably one of the most unpredictable teams. If they turn up, they can beat anyone. If they don't turn up, they could get points put on them for fun. 18 points to 16, they beat the Roosters. Another case of yellow card in the second half.
Yeah.
They were 14 points to 4 up, so 10 ahead. They take the 2.
The sin bin can be such a big swing, can't it?
Yeah.
It's only 10 minutes, but it can be such a big swing. It impacts the rest of your squad.
This is the thing I want to add in this. Within that 10 minutes, Roosters kick a 2, take it to 16 points to 4. Scott Drinkwater scores for the Cowboys, takes it to 18-10. They then kick a penalty as well during that 10 minutes.
So it was 16-12?
Yeah.
Wait, so they kicked the penalty down 6?
Yes.
Ooh. Well, the other team was down to 12 men?
So
the other team's down to 12 men and you're down by 6 points and you kick a 2 point?
No, sorry, no. So the Roosters were 14-4 up. The Cowboys had a man sin binned.
Ah,
and the
okay.
Roosters took 2 to make it 16-4.
The Cowboys kicked 2.
Scott Drinkwater scores for the Cowboys, still when they're down to 12 men.
Yeah, I get that.
And then 2 minutes before the 10 minutes that they were off, the Cowboys got another penalty. They kicked it to make it 16 points to 12.
All right, yeah.
And then went on to score. And I just think it can be such a momentum shift that if you take 2 and then end up conceding, you've had the extra man and you're now losing.
If you go down to 12 men for 10 minutes and you survive it,
and come out with more
that is even if you stay the same, that is enormous confidence boost.
Yeah, I just think when a team goes down to 10, especially if you're winning, make them repeat again and again and again.
Tedesco was pulled out morning of the game, wasn't he?
Yeah,
because Edwards was injured. James Tedesco was on standby, and then he was called in. Yeah, our mate Cameron, who fills in on this podcast sometimes, he said today that he thinks Joey Manu's the best player who's not eligible for Queensland or New South Wales, who could, impact Origin, could tear it up. He thinks it's Joey Manu. But he did say Jerome Hughes and Fisher Harris were close second, but he thinks Joey Manu. It's hard to disagree with him.
I just love Manu.
Joey Manu is really talented, and there's loads of good players who aren't Origin eligible anymore. Someone was saying this morning in one of the Aussie papers they've done a top 15. Top 15.
Was in there.
3 English boys were in there. Whitehead was in there, and Herbie was obviously in there as well. Loads of Kiwi lads. I think a couple of the Fijians were in. But yeah, it's always been the best of the best, hasn't it, Origin? And now, actually, some of the best players in the NRL aren't from New South Wales or Queensland or aren't eligible to play for those teams. Because I see guys like who've always been from Victoria there's a few people from Victoria played, isn't there? And there's a few people from New South Wales who've played for Queensland in the past.
But yeah. Right. Shall we take a break there? We'll come back and we'll preview the Challenge Cup final. Thank you. So this week there's no predictions. There's only one game this week in Super League.
There's
no game in Super League. There's one game in the in Britain the top division are competing in.
That was a very long-winded way of saying it's Challenge Cup final.
Absolutely butchered that. It's Cup final.
You knew what I meant when I said there's no games in Super League. There's only one from the top division. Wigan Warrington Challenge Cup final. Where do we think this game is won, lost? Obviously, I'm guessing we all think Wigan's gonna win. Yeah. I would be really worried if either of you were back in Warrington.
No. Yeah.
Thank God for that.
Back in Warrington.
Warrington have got no suspensions. Wigan missing Adam Kieran for 3 matches. Tyler Dupree for 3 matches. Brad O'Neill escaped with just a £250 fine, I think.
Yep.
What are our thoughts? Any thoughts on the lineups? Any thoughts on where this game is won or lost?
I'd like to see, like I said before, Nsemba running over the top of Drinkwater. I think the wide open pitch could play into Jay Field and Matt Duffy's hands, to be honest.
That's going to be an interesting.
And
really
George
interesting
Williams
battle.
and Bevan French. Those 4 must be licking their lips thinking about playing at Wembley. I think there's going to be points.
Do you think Harry Smith will be looking forward to being able to kick out there?
Yeah. If Harry gets his first kick right.
It could be a long day for them back three.
Oh yeah, if he could just control the game, that would be really nice.
But I think that's what we need to do, is thinking about where the game, and I've said on this podcast before, we'll just go back to what we know, especially big game mentality. Don't be scared in the early parts of the game, kick on the third, turn them round, back our defence, pin them back, maybe force the error from them when they're coming out to their own half. Don't be scared to play a territory battle and back our defence, because it's what we're good at. And it's what works, it's what wins us the big games.
I agree.
I said this a lot last year, I'm going to say it again. The longer this game is 0-0, I think suits us. The longer this is an arm wrestle, the longer this is a fight. Both teams have a change in the pack. They're probably the two best forward for each team. Thompson and Vaughan, that's going to be a real...
It'll be a good battle, isn't it?
A real battle.
Plus Fitzgibbon.
Fitzgibbon back in against Farrell.
Farrell back in.
Yeah. Every change seems to have brought...
Duftyfield,
Williams,
French, there's good battles
Good
all
battles,
over
yeah.
there.
Good battles there.
I'm interested to see Wardle, Toby King,
Yeah.
them two competing against each other.
Yeah.
There's battles everywhere. I'm just thinking about them, the 2 9s.
Two quality sides.
There's actually, not often you say this, but both teams are going to probably change the 9 at points in this game. We're probably going to bring Cruz Lehman on. Warrington are probably going to bring Sam Powell on.
Yes.
They're two very different types of 9s who both had two very different jobs in their team. How do you see this game going? How?
I think I don't think there's going to be anything in it at half time. I think there's going to be not very much in it at full time.
Dropped another.
I just dropped my wedding ring. I think it's going to be. There's not going to be very much in it at full time, I don't think either. I think there's going to be points scored. It's not going to be like a grand final where it's terrible weather and teams are being real cagey, shorting goals, all that stuff. We know grand finals aren't really points fest. I think Wembley, wide open pitch. Hopefully, nice day, because that would suit both sides.
Yeah.
And I'd love for our forwards to put a platform and Harry Smith to kick us to victory. I mean, that's the dream.
That is the dream. It's going to be interesting. How do you think we can replace these two bands?
I think the pre-one's a lot easier with the strength we've got in the forwards.
Yeah.
I'd say maybe Thompson who comes back in, and then maybe Burns starting, which means you've got Havard, Cooper and Mago if he was going to take 3 props on the bench with Lehman, or if he was going to carry Walters on the bench.
I think he'll carry Walters on the bench.
And he'll have Farrell and the centre starting in the second row.
I think so.
You know what?
There's options there, and then Eckersley, I would think, would come in for a straight swap for...
You know what?
Yeah,
I sent it to you before, Matty. We haven't, obviously the 21's not been sent out. I'm going to tell you what I think my 17 will be. And I'd be interested to see if you would have any changes.
Yeah, okay.
I think Field comes in at full back.
Yeah.
Quite simple.
Yeah.
Miskey and Marshall on the wings.
Yep.
Eckersley and Wardle to be the 2 centres. Smith and French. I think that back 7 fits itself.
I agree. I'm not one for putting Wardle or Ensemble out there. A centre, definitely not. Definitely not.
In the forwards, Thompson comes back in to start. Brad O'Neill. And I think Byrne will start.
Yeah.
I know there is a lot of people talking about Byrne. Obviously, he's been banned a couple of times this year. He led that pack last year for a long period of time.
By himself.
Well, then Dupree came in.
With Patrick Mago, yeah. And then Dupree.
But he was the leader of that pack. And he almost single-handedly led that pack to a grand final. And I don't think enough credit is given to him for that. I think Matty Pete trusts him to do the basics well. And I think that's the reason. I think he will start. I think he'll be the other starting prop. I don't see him. If Liam Byrne doesn't start, I don't see him on the bench.
I agree.
I think he starts. I think he starts in that number 10. That other prop alongside Luke Thompson. I'm going to Farrell in December in the second rows with Kane Ellis at 13. Do you see any changes to that 13, lads?
No.
I'm tempted to say Havard and Byrne. I'm guessing the next name out of your mouth is going to be Ethan Havard.
Yeah, Ethan Havard's the first bench.
I'm tempted to swap those two. But apart from that, I don't mind that 13 at all.
I wouldn't mind if Thompson was on the bench and Havard started. I think he'll go Thompson, and I think there's potential for Thompson to play 80 minutes like he did in the semi.
I'm thinking about Thompson and Havard starting.
I just can't see Byrne off the bench. I think he'll want to keep one of them options up his sleeve to play that big middle section.
So guarantees on the bench, there's only 2 for me. Havard and Leeming.
Havard and Leeming definitely on the bench, and I think it's going to be 2 out of the following 4: Magor, Walters, Cooper and Hill. I wouldn't be surprised if Walters didn't make it into 17 and he went 3 props. I do think he will pick Walters.
I think he'll pick Walters
because he can be used as a prop and he can fill in the second row.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think that just gives us some balance. If we were to lose someone in the centres of the wing, you can shift someone out there, put Farrell into the centres, and play Nasemba and Walters. I think that's why Walters played on the left hand side last Saturday against Warrington. Because if we were to pick up an injury, Farrell would be the one to go to the centres, and Walters is slotting on that left side. So I think Walters is on the bench. That 4th bench spot then is between Cooper, Magor and Hill.
I think it's Magor.
I think he'll go Magor. I think he'll go Magor. I wouldn't be disappointed if Cooper or Hill played.
If you asked me at the start of the season, I wouldn't have said Magor, but now I would.
Yeah,
now I really would.
Is he still winning on the Man of Steel?
It probably is.
He's still the leading Wigan player.
I don't know how they're going to give points to anybody from this week's game. I haven't even thought about giving my 3-2-1 for this week.
No.
I can't. I'll probably end up giving them to French again, but I just can't think of what a weird game to try and pick a man of the match from.
Yeah. Warrington. Where are Warrington's threats? The obvious ones are Duffy and Williams.
Duffy and Williams run the show when they play well, don't they? But I think a lot's made of Paul Vaughan making meters. He's fantastic at that. Lucky Fitzgibbon will be trying to run over Harry Smith the same way, and Semba's trying to run over Drinkwater.
Yeah, Nicholson will try and do the same thing on French.
Whoever plays, I don't know what side they'll play on them too, but whatever side they pick, they'll be trying to run over the
I think that's the big challenge for Warrington. The pack's got to step up on that chairs.
Yeah.
I think ours is the leading pack, and I think the outside back, it's got a bit of flow, Williams and Duffy, and Ashton's a quick winger who can make a break and get away from people with his pace. But can you match us up front? When you've got big bodies crying, you've got Thompson, then you've got Byrne, then you've got Nasemba, and then you've got off the bench Havard and Magor. Don't just rely on Paul Vaughan. Obviously, Paul Vaughan's a brilliant player, but can the others step up as well? And
Please don't give Ashton any interceptions.
You're worried about that?
He is gone. If he intercepts one, he is gone. I'm just worried about that face ball. But they've timed it right this year. Got to give them credit. The Field and French, they've timed when to do the face ball and when to go short this year and when to keep hold of it. So I'll back them this weekend.
Yeah, 100%.
We'll back at our boys.
Where do you think Wigan will be targeting?
Josh, I can say it again. Josh Drinkwater. Defensively,
defensively, they've got to target the second row. Our second rows have got to target
the halfbacks.
The halfbacks.
Yeah, but you're not going to get much change out of George Williams. I don't think.
No.
I think for me, it's trying from Roderick Ty and Drinkwater were playing together. That's the channel for me.
See, I don't think we'll say it. I think we've just got to stick to our game, what we do well. Don't think about not playing because that's Williams' side and you've got to Drinkwater's side. Just stick to what we do. Ask the questions and it's up to them to answer them. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter who the player is. When I said target anyone specific, just ask questions the whole way. As a squad, can you defend us? Can you match our back? Can you deal with all the threats? Nasemba on the short ball, Field out the back, French's first ball, Harry Smith's kicking game.
Can
you deal with it?
It's some Arsenal, that, isn't it?
I've just thought, and you know what? The first thing that I want to see in that first set, unless we score points in that first set,
big hits.
No, I want to kick off and big hits. Like Lewis is right.
Yeah, but the first set we have the ball.
I really like big hits.
I want to see us turn the ball over well. Pin Warrington in that corner.
Like we did to OKR.
Like we did to OKR. Like we did to Warrington in the Cup last year when we went down to 12 early on. And ask Warrington to score from their own half.
Yeah, no headbutts this time.
One thing I wanted to mention, obviously Miski was rested last week. The week before, I commented on the fact that at Salford, he had no strapping on either legs after he's been carrying that for a while.
Matty Pete said There's some players you can give a week off to.
Yeah.
There's some players where if you give them a week off, they'll have a week off.
Yeah.
You know, and he kind of pointed out Bevan French as that person. If you give Bevan French a week off, he's having a week off.
Yeah.
You know, but if you give Jay Field or Abbas Miski a week off, they're still training basically. They're not. You know, they're actually still training with the team. I think it could just be a case of looking at the numbers. Look at the numbers. Miski played this many minutes. He's played more than Marshall. Wardle's played a lot of minutes. Week off. Thompson played a lot of minutes. Week off. Just look at the numbers.
I definitely agree.
I think that's all it is. I hope that's all it is anyway.
I don't think there's anyone carrying knocks. Obviously, there was the rumour of Field carrying a rib knock early on in the season.
Marshall said he's fine.
Yeah.
And Samba? Not heard anything. I'm assuming he's fine.
Yeah. I think we'd have heard something if there was an injury.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
No, I can't wait either. Oh, I'm nervous, but I'm really excited. This is why we go, isn't it?
Yeah.
This is why we went to Castleford in the pouring rain in February.
Yeah.
And this is why we go to these places. This is why we follow this team for days like Saturday.
That's why you have to go to Castleford 3 times.
We'll go to Castleford 3 times by June. Yeah. For days like this.
Yeah. Can't
Exactly.
wait. I really can't wait. I've got the nerves already.
Yep.
We'll recorded on Monday and I'm so nervous.
We'll spend all week thinking, oh, well, Williams is a good player and Matty Ashton's a good finisher, and then we'll wake up Saturday morning thinking, we'll have these today.
I think that's the way it is every game.
So it always goes for the big game. Spend all week thinking about Warrington and their threats, and then you wake up on Saturday morning and you think, we're a good side.
Or you've got threats as well.
We are a good side. We've got plenty of threats. Let's just hope we show.
Just can't wait. Just can't wait.
Give a good account of ourselves, get a good start, back the boys.
Yeah. Right, that wraps up, I think, our preview of the Challenge Cup final. Obviously, something to mention. Yesterday there was the sad news of Rob Burrows' passing. It's a massive loss for the game of rugby league, and obviously the disease that he has fought, motor neurons disease, is a terrible disease, and I think it goes to show the positives that Rob and Kevin Sinfield and his family have tried to bring through helping with research, the fundraising that they've done. They've been an inspiration to millions of people.
An MND centre in Leeds this year.
Yeah. They've been an inspiration to millions of people around the world, and obviously our thoughts go out to Rob and his family and his friends.
Yeah.
In a tragic time.
Yeah, well said. I mean, he was a great man, wasn't he? Great player. Tormented Wigan plenty times, tormented Saints, tormented Bradford, those games he played.
Brilliant.
And a fantastic man.
Definitely.
It's good to see the rugby league community. You know, this is what sets rugby league for me apart from, we're a small group. You know, we're talking about an M62 corridor. We're not world, not all over the country rugby league. We'd like it to be popular. But it might only be a small community, but God, is it a tight community. And we all pull together. And we all, doesn't matter who you play for, in times like this, the rugby league community comes together. And I feel that's what sets us apart from the other sport. You don't get the camaraderie the same as you do.
I think something that's worth mentioning, obviously, is it tonight England's football's friendly?
Against,
Bosnia, I think.
As we record, against Bosnia.
They've had a moment's silence for Rob. His research, obviously, and his awareness of motor neurons disease has gone way outside of just rugby league. It's impacted every sport. Every sport is looking into how to help with this disease, and like I said, the things that his family have done and his teammates have done to help awareness are phenomenal, and our thoughts go out to his family in this very difficult time.
100%.
That wraps up this week's episode. Thank you for listening. Matty, Lewis, thank you for joining us.
Yeah,
No problem.
And we'll see you next week, hopefully after a win.
Fingers crossed. We have a nice long podcast to soak in it next week. And
if Wigan win, get ready for a 4-hour podcast because we will be talking you through every single tackle, play, every penalty, every offside, anything that happens. If Wigan win, just get ready to basically relive the entire game again.
Yeah.
So thank you for listening, and we'll be back next week, hopefully after a win.
See you later.
See you again.